From Android to Pixel to YouTube, Google's relationship with communication service providers has been core to our success. I'm Ankur Jain. I've been at Google for more than 18 years now, and I've had the opportunity to work on the technologies behind many of these relationships. These days, I head Google Cloud's global telecommunications business and Google Distributed Cloud Edge. And today, I'm excited to share the work that we have been doing the past few years at Google, helping CSPs digitally transform their business, which is really a continuation of that long-standing relationship that we have had with CSPs. And it's my honor that I'll be sharing the stage today with two industry luminaries. Harmeen Mehta, who is the Chief Digital and Innovation Officer at BT Group, and Scott Petty, who is the Chief Technology Officer at Vodafone Group. Look, throughout this event, you would have heard from speakers from all parts of Google Cloud, from our customers, from our partners, about how AI plays an instrumental role in our latest innovations in data, infra, security, and more. And real-world examples of how we are partnering with customers to drive new growth and innovation. And in this session, I'm excited to shine the transformation spotlight on the telecommunications industry. Look, this is an industry that is undergoing massive changes, with CSPs facing growth and cost pressures. But they're embracing this change by raising their AI game, by modernizing their infrastructure, by putting their data to work, and building cloud-native networks. And so how are we, as Google Cloud, helping them with this journey of theirs? Look, we help our CSP customers with horizontal products and solutions across their IT organizations, much as we would do for any other enterprise in any other industry. But in addition, what we are doing for the telecom industry specifically is that we are, A, ensuring that CSPs can meet their industry-specific needs, whether that's around security, privacy, sovereignty, availability, and so on. And B, we are also building CSP-specific industry solutions and products, some of which I will touch upon in the session today. We are also working very closely with partners to ensure that there's an open ecosystem and such that their systems and processes work well with ours. Now, whether that's network equipment providers, OSS, BSS providers, network analytic providers, customer analytics platforms, global system integrators, and so on. Now, putting all of these together, Google Cloud is enabling CSPs to transform in three key areas that are top of mind for them: AI transformation, network modernization, and monetization. Let's explore these three areas in more detail. So when it comes to data and AI transformation, we are helping our CSP customers reimagine customer experiences, network and IT operations, and workforce productivity. And this is by turning data into a strategic asset and a competitive advantage. We are working with customers around the world on their data and AI journey. For example, Optus in Australia has been relying on Google Cloud's contact center AI since 2020 to provide customers with personalized and meaningful conversations using AI. Telecom Argentina is using our AI Ops products to dramatically reduce the need for human intervention and further reducing the mean time to understanding and repairing network issues. And some of you may have seen the breakout presentation yesterday about how Telefonica Germany is working with Nokia and Google Cloud to bring in more energy efficiency into their radio networks. And you will hear from Harmeen and Scott shortly about how they are partnering with us on their data and AI journeys. Secondly, when it comes to network modernization, we are helping our CSP customers build cloud-native automated networks, thereby enabling them to operate and scale their networks efficiently and while also launching services more quickly. For this, we have introduced products such as Google Distributed Cloud, with telecommunications as one of the first industries that it was targeted for. GDCE is a fully managed hardware and software solution, providing one consistent agile operating model for multiple racks in a few sites running, let's say, the packet core, to single server running radio access network workloads in tens of thousands of sites nationwide. As part of this, we have optimized it to run high-performance network workloads, and more recently, we have added features such as boundary proxy, bastion host, and survivability mode to help CSPs meet their security, availability, and sovereignty requirements. Last year, together with the Linux Foundation, we launched Project Nephew to enable cloud-native automation of telecom network functions and the underlying cloud infrastructure using Kubernetes technologies and intent-based automation. And just earlier this month, we proudly announced the release of Release 1, thereby significantly simplifying deployment and lifecycle management of both the underlying infrastructure and the network functions that run on top. Through these products and solutions, we are externalizing our learnings over the years of building and operating in a software-defined and an automated way Google's own global network, which is one of the largest networks on the planet. In just the past 12 months, we have shared several announcements in this space with key customers. For example, Telenet, which was showcased earlier this morning in the infrastructure developer keynote video, where GDC is now driving the modernization and cloudification of its network. Deutsche Telekom deployed and verified Ericsson 5G packet core functions on GDC Edge in a pilot that successfully demonstrated deployment time in minutes rather than weeks. O2 Telefonica, who are doing a proof of concept for testing purposes, has implemented GDC Edge in its data center through which 5G core network is being operated. And StarHub, who we are supporting as they create an open, scalable, secure, and energy-efficient cloud-native network for enterprises in Singapore. And thirdly, on monetization, we are partnering with CSPs to create new revenue streams and grow existing ones. For example, to help them grow their business on the consumer side, we launched Telecom Subscriber Insights. This helps CSPs target customer acquisition, cross-sell, and upsell use cases, and also increases customer retention. It does so by ingesting and normalizing data from various sources to create things like next best offer, but it doesn't stop there. We leverage Telecom Subscriber Insights to also push notifications to the customer's devices, and that helps in customer response and helps close the loop. We are also partnering with CSPs so that they can sell their enterprise customers solutions that are beyond just connectivity. This could be, for example, enhancing productivity and collaboration by bundling Google Workspace and Chromebooks and Pixel and so on, or reselling Google Cloud to help customers modernize their platforms. It could be enabling CSPs customers to bring in their own data as well as the CSP data together to create new analytics models, or extending their reach to SMBs by providing them an SMB marketplace. Some examples of how we are partnering with CSPs include Indosat Ooredoo Hutchison, who has successfully launched a data analytics platform which is helping their clients across sectors with real-time insights, improved decision-making, and faster ROI. Orange, who is a strategic partner for Google and Workspace, is monetizing our joint solutions in their enterprise and mid-market segments. And we announced earlier, yesterday, that we are partnering with BT, enabling customers to connect to the cross-cloud network using their global fabric products. Google's global network and BT network is interconnected globally to enable enterprise branches and users to connect to cloud-based applications with highest reliability and performance. And speaking of the BT group, I am excited to welcome Harmeen Mehta to share more about how they're partnering with Google Cloud on their transformation journey. For the uninitiated, BT Group is a multinational telecoms and digital services company that is based out of the UK with revenues of over 20 billion pounds, 30 billion customers, operations in 180 countries, and a really vast data estate. Over its 175-year history, the organization has gone through many changes, but is now going one of its biggest transformation as it transforms the organization around a digital agenda, expanding its reach beyond telco as it makes new digital services supporting new markets. Harmeen is a driving force behind that transformation, serving as its Chief Digital and Innovation Officer. She also serves as a non-executive director at Lloyds Banking Group, so has an incredible perspective over data and AI transformation challenges across many businesses are facing. She has been at the forefront of data and AI for most of her career, and we are really looking forward to hearing more from her. Please join me in welcoming Harmeen. So Harmeen, I believe you are in the process of migrating most of your data and AI workloads over to Google Cloud. Where are you with that journey, and what is the impact you have seen?
Well, first of all, it's not most, because I'm a very binary person, as you know, Ankur, 0 or 1. So it's all of our data.
That's always good to hear, yeah.
And I think it's a true transformation, because this has not been about the technology change from moving from on-prem to cloud. It's not been just about embracing GCP. It's been about a real cultural thinking transformation as well, people transformation. And if you were to count the number of people since I came to BT about 2.5 years ago that told me that I can't do this, and everybody had a very good reason. And if I had a penny for every time the word regulatory was used, I'd be a very, very rich woman. I think it's ironical that how we create our own barriers in our own minds, and sometimes create our own limitations. There are some real limitations, but there are always ways around it. You just have to think a bit more creatively or a bit more deeply. But we're fully committed to this. We're going to take 100% of our data, move it to the cloud, not have any differentiation in the middle. We started the program about 18 months ago. We've just crossed about 80%. Oh. We will be done by the end of this year. And I think it's been, it's not the putting of the data into GCP that's really unlocking everything. It is really the use and the value it's creating on top. We've promised to create about $500 million of net new value for the company. And now with the advancements that AI is making, I'm really challenging my team. And I think by the time some of them are in the crowd, so by the time I go back, that number might change to 1 billion. So we'll see. But I think the potential is there for us to double this over this 5-year period that we are looking at to complete this transformation. But it is absolutely the way to go. In fact, if we hadn't done that, I think our adoption of a lot of not only Gen AI is only one part that works in one segment, but it's the deeper use of AI and ML. We would not have been able to adapt to it and accelerate a large part of that as quickly as we are going to over the next few months.
You touched upon some very interesting topics, so I'll dig into some of these.
Go for it.
So you talked about 500 million or even
Yes,
£1 billion.
£500 million,
That's up to like 5% of your overall revenues. So can you tell us more, like in terms of where are those wins coming from?
So they're coming from actually very deep use of AI in all its different forms, from small things like driving hyper-personalization on the, on through our all omni-channel products, which means that literally we are moving away from traditional segmentation that most companies do to actually saying it's a segment of one, so what are you going to segment? So if you've got 30 million customers, you've got 30 million segments. And really driving that hyper-personalization, which is increasing both, actually it's increasing consideration, it's increasing conversion, and it's increasing revenue, it's increasing retention, it's reducing churn, it's having a whole lot of impact. But the bigger impact is also providing different levels of insights. For example, one of the things we are looking to do is drive different propensity models for the sales guys to actually tell them that the same effort that you put in, we will tell you which customer, what product, at what time, and that same effort is going to yield into a much bigger, conversion rate for them as well, so their effort is well spent. It's also coming from some very intelligent things that we are doing, where we are actually, because we are able to understand the personality of a customer as a segment of one, we also understand the personality of, for example, our call center agents as an agent of one. And when somebody calls, to be able to make the right pairing. And if you guys thought that it is only the Tinders of the world that do matchmaking, you're absolutely wrong. The telecoms are the biggest matchmakers in the world. Because that's what we do from first thing in the morning. When our engineers are going out to lay fiber, we're actually tasking them to say which engineer is best to do which job. And hence we are matchmaking the job to the engineer. When a customer calls, we're matchmaking the customer with the call center, saying which agent is most, is the best to either service or sell or whatever to do that customer. And it's leading to a very different transformation. I'm a big proponent of driving diversity and inclusion in different organizations as well. And one of the biggest psychological changes impact that it's had on me, and it's had on the D&I team as well, is just imagine a world we're living. UK is one of the most diverse countries in the world. The demographic in the UK is just phenomenally diverse. But if we are going to do that matching really successfully, I need the call center and our own employees to have exactly the same level of diversity as our consumers, because if I don't have that, who am I going to match to? I'm always going to have a suboptimal match rather than the perfect match. So it is changing the organization in such fundamental ways, which the world didn't think that would happen. So I think the power of insights and the power of data is much more than we have the insight for. And I really feel we want BT to be, we're converting it from a telco to a techco, but much more importantly, be a very data-driven and AI-first organization, and I think we're not very far from that.
I must say, I did not realize the level of matchmaking that was happening, even to the extent of.
I hope there's nobody from Tinder here.
One of the other things that caught my attention was you talked about the, let's say, the organization resistance as well as the organizational change that you had to drive. I have, even for programs that we do within Google, and whenever we introduce something quite categorical, we encounter these kinds of, we have to make these organizational and cultural changes. Can you tell us more about how did you actually put that in motion in your company at your scale?
I definitely can, but this advice comes with a lot of caution. Please do not try it in your own organization, because I'm not sure this is the best thing to do, but I'm a very polarizing person. So the way I find it difficult to understand the gray in the middle, so it's very binary for me. I do the same in the organization. So I make it very easy to polarize people and say either you're in the camp or not out of the camp. And then I know how to deal with people who are in the camp, and I know how to deal with people who are out of the camp. What is very difficult is to deal with the mass in the middle which you neither know, are they in the camp, are they not in the camp, and then the camp in the morning, but not in the camp in the evening, and that's a diversity of the human psychology that I have neither understood nor I think I ever will. But the biggest piece is, we all pretend that we are in the technology sector, but a lot of us, we're in the people business, and you have to find different ways of cracking through, whatever is causing that resistance. A large part of that resistance is coming from either their own inertia of not wanting to try something different, or it's coming from the fear of the unknown, which is actually the new, or it's just pure laziness. So you got to figure out which of it is. There is no cure for laziness, but there's a cure for the others. And a large part of that is sometimes you have to be equally ruthless to say that someone doesn't want to go on that journey. You can't force them to go on the journey. And the best thing is just part ways. And you can't be shy about that. And that is actually the best thing you would do for their career, because they might have a very happy, successful career somewhere else. And we should give them the opportunity to do that. So I love to promote people outside the organization if they are not going to come along the journey. But what you find is if you are not leading by control, but you're leading by context, and you paint the picture of where we will end up, many people actually want to be part of that journey. And that is the beauty of the human race that you really got to build up on. I mean, if I'll ask the audience, how many of you wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to go and do the shittiest job possible today at work?
I saw one hand coming up over there.
Well, there's always one, eh? But that's not how human beings think. Everybody wants, to do the good job, and they want to make a difference, no matter what they do. And that's what you got to appeal on. But I would definitely say to leaders driving large transformations out there, and I was talking about this at a different organization earlier this morning, if you really want to drive transformations, you have to give up on one very fundamental thing, and that you have to give up on the inherent need to be liked. So if you really want to be liked and loved by everybody, then you're not driving a transformation. Then you're just bringing about some incremental change. But if you really want to transform something, you're breaking a lot of eggs. And as I was saying, you can't walk on eggshells and break a lot of eggs. The two metaphors can't mix together. You have to be comfortable with saying, there are many people who are going to criticize this, many people who are not going to like this, many people who are going to be vocal about it. And that should be okay. If you don't have the courage to have that big debate and hold your own, don't start a transformation or don't be a part of it.
Thank you. That's well said.
But like I said, don't try this at home.
You already touched upon many different uses of the data and using AI for that. Can you tell us more about how you're approaching this current wave of generative AI?
I mean, this is really causing a lot of thinking within the organization for 2-3 reasons. One is, as most of my team and my organization knows, the one virtue which I didn't have before I came to BT, and I've acquired a little bit, but not a lot of, is a virtue called patience. So for me, I'm seeing this is a great opportunity for me to get back to what I am great at, which is driving at pace and moving at speed. And I think this can really, embracing it is going to cut, literally months, if not years, out of our transformation. Simple examples. I mean, we've got we've been in the conversational AI space for a long time. But teaching those models to be really accurate, to really be able to bring the power of human and artificial intelligence together takes a long time. And most of us, actually, when we drive that, we get through the big use cases pretty quickly. But it's the tail, which is really, really long, that takes you a long time. But if you are, the contrast of that is that really works when you are having that broad segmentation of your customers. if on one hand you're driving the segment of one, which means every customer, you are encouraging them to be unique, you don't have just one offer, you're tailoring it to every customer, you're even tailoring a little bit of the price points to every customer, then you take away also the need that you are going to be able to take a whole chunk of people, have one workflow, and say this will take care of all of their service. So you're creating a complexity, and if you don't solve for it, you're never going to catch up. And I think this is the conundrum that most organizations are facing with. And we make enough progress that we can come to stage and talk about it, but not enough progress that truly transforms the company. If you really want to do that, you have to get to the tail, and you have to be all in. You can't be half in on that one. And I think this is the biggest thing that is going to change. And this is the first time that technology is speaking the human language rather than human learning the technology language. And I think it has changed the perception of what is the art of the possible. And so two things that we are seeing change. One is the human belief that the new world is not tomorrow, it is here right now. That has completely changed. And I don't need to drive that in all of my business. They're seeing it everywhere. And they are now, for the first time, stepping back and saying, oh shit, this is actually here. So that has cut down a large part of the hard work of people transformation that you have to do every time you drive such a big change. But the second piece is it's actually making it easier to move much faster as well. And I think we'd be fools not to really jump on that horse and ride it as fast as we can, because the customers are so soon going to get so accustomed to it. It might be, you might not invite me again if I talk about Amazon on this stage, but Amazon has changed our own expectation of how things should be delivered to our house. And when a courier or a company suddenly says, I need 3 to 5 days of shipping, and we say, well, what age are they living in? Because you got so used to, not forget about next day delivery. Now it's about delivery today itself. It has changed the expectation of the consumers. The same thing is going to happen. The more our customer bases get used to interacting with a very different world and solving their problems like this and being understood as an individual for who they are and not as a bracket, that's what they're going to expect from every other company, even if they are in different industries and different segments. So the onus is on us. We want to be the first one to actually create that differentiation and not the last one who's just trying to follow through.
Thank you so much, Harmeen, for these insights. With that, please join me in thanking Harmeen.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So Harmeen gave her perspective about, and thank you for that, like in terms of how you are going along on the AI and the Gen AI journey. What I like to share right now is our perspective on what we are seeing in this space. We believe that it has the potential to transform our industry in a few different ways. Just to pick up a few, Harmeen talked about improving customer experiences, and we are seeing the use of that for conversational support bots, but also summarization of, let's say, help articles that could be available on the website. Another great one is just assisting creation of marketing content by generating rich multimedia material, as well as we just discussed, driving hyper-personalized subscriber offers. Or for that matter, improving network planning and operations to help the operations folks for summarizing very long, highly complex standards documents, operational data, and then synthesizing them and making them accessible through natural language queries. We've also seen the use of code generation capabilities, let's say by Cody, to, on one hand, speed up the software development exercise, but there are people who are also using this, experimenting with quickly spinning up config files and effectively using that in the progress towards our ultimate North Star of fully automated networks. Underpinning all of this, we are ensuring that enterprise readiness through easy integration with all the enterprise systems that the telecom industry has. We are truly excited to bring these new innovations to our customers and help them along in their AI journey. These journeys start in various forms, as you can see from some of the examples here, and some of which I have already covered earlier in the talk. And to learn about another extremely fascinating journey, I'm now excited to welcome to the stage Scott Petty, the Chief Technology Officer of Vodafone Group and a member of the Vodafone Executive Committee. Vodafone is the largest pan-European and African telecoms company, providing mobile and services company in 17 countries, and they partner with mobile networks in 46 more, and also are a world leader in an Internet of Things. As Vodafone's group's CTO, Scott is accountable for driving innovation, embedding simplification, and delivery of Vodafone's technology strategy, and reflecting the growing importance of technology in Vodafone's transformation as a technology communications company. Over his tenure at Vodafone, Scott has led various marquee initiatives, operational excellence, the launch of 5G and shared rural network scheme, and the development of products across connectivity, IoT, and converged communications, to just name a few. Please join me in welcoming Scott. Thank you. Please. So Scott, you've also been a great partner for us over the years. What do you think is the strength of the relationship with Google and Google Cloud?
Sure. We've had a long relationship with Google, obviously being a mobile operator or a wireless operator, as you like to say in the US. In all the markets we operate in, Android's been a really important part of our channel strategy and our go-to-market strategy. We've done a lot of joint product development together in areas like RCS, so bringing communication services together. And of course, we're an advertising customer, which has been a great relationship. Our relationship with GCP started actually back in December 2019, and ultimately in a contract about a year later as we started to build our digital transformation. What we like about Google as a company is you're a problem-solving partner. You're different to most organizations who like to sell you something. Google really work with you to solve problems and solve those problems at scale that drive benefits for us as an organization. That has some real benefits as you're trying to transform your organization and building those partnerships to make sure we can.
I'm really glad to hear that. What are some of the biggest data challenges that you are seeing? And again, like as part of this migration, you've migrated a lot of your data over to Google Cloud. And what is the impact you have been seeing from those?
Yeah, data is such a critical component of our digital transformation. We started back in 2019 with this vision to really transform Vodafone as a company. And we think about our digital transformation in 3 pillars. The first one is simplicity. How can we make and optimize how we operate our business? And that's all about saving cost. If you can automate, if you can drive processes, you can really drive a better return in your bottom line. The second pillar was customers. How do we service our customers better? As customers moved away from retail stores and contact centers to digital channels, they wanted to buy online. In our world, there are really important moments in the year, an iPhone launch day, a Pixel launch day. How well your website and your digital channels responds dictates how much market share you get in those areas. So how well we can service our customers is really important. And probably the most important pillar was our growth pillar. How could we create new products and services adjacent to our core connectivity business, like financial services, like IoT, that would create new sources of revenue for us? Then we would have a digital transformation that was really changing the company as a whole. The problem with a telco is we have 30 years of legacy, 30 years of legacy systems. We haven't turned many things off. We still run 2G. We still run lots of fixed products. We have lots of legacy systems. So trying to build those digital transformations without a common data layer is almost impossible. Everything is in different places. It's all got different master keys. It's impossible to bring together. So we recognized at the start we needed to build a data ocean as a way to bring that data together that would enable analytics, BI, machine learning, AI, and enable those applications in those pillars. And we spent a lot of time choosing the right partner for that. And we felt Google was the right partner. You'd made some really good investments in analytics based on your own business and what you've been doing in ads and other areas. But more importantly, we thought you'd be a great development partner for us to help solve some of the really tricky problems. And problem number one was actually ingestion. How do you get the data from all of those legacy systems into that data ocean, encrypt it on the fly, do it at speed, build a common data model, and be able to put it back in the source system at speed? That didn't exist. It wasn't available in the market, and we were able to put teams together with you guys to develop that as a product that would really fast track our development. Once we have the data ocean, we can start to build capabilities that sit on top of that. Everyone talks about the things we all like to talk about. Always on marketing. How do we do CVM better? How do we sell to our customers better? How do we build AI-based tools? We have a product recommender, so when agents are interfacing with a customer on a call or in a retail store, it's listening and it's taking that data and then making the right recommendation for the tariff and the products that go with them. Really exciting cases, and they build revenue. Actually, the ones that really move the needle are really in that simplification pillar, taking all our network analytics data with our CPE data and be able to use that to service our customers better and automate that process. Takes huge amounts of cost out of our service organization. So it enables a set of applications sitting on top of that really transforms the way you can drive your digital transformation. Probably our biggest bet, though, in the relationship came 18 months ago. We decided to move our SAP S/4HANA instance from on-prem. You can imagine for a company like us that operates in so many markets with tower sharing deals and lots of JVs, we have a very complex financial system and component, and it was really slowing down the business and our ability to be agile. We built a 3-phase program to migrate all of that estate into GCP. I have to say, probably the most seamless project I've ever worked on. In fact, the day after we went live with phase 1, I was traveling around with our chief procurement officer, and he said to me, "Oh, Scott, did you not do the Evo to cloud migration on the weekend because nothing had gone wrong?" I said, yeah, it all happened, no problems. He couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe that we'd been able to do that migration to cloud. That's unlocked a huge amount of value for us. First of all, it's dramatically improved the performance of our financial system. It's reduced our month-end close by 2 days, which to a CFO is a really big deal. It's dramatically improved the performance of a whole set of the functions, but it's put all of our core data related to financials in the same place as our data ocean. That gives us an ability to build really complex AI and ML tools at scale, leveraging those platforms. So it's really, data I think is really overlooked, the data ocean, and how important it is to a digital transformation, how getting that architecture right is critically important, and investing in that to enable the tools that come on top of that. Everyone's really excited about the applications you launch, but without that layer and that fabric, you have no chance of success.
You were mentioning something just before this session about how you have these, you're bringing multiple different domains on top of this data ocean, as an example, network and customer data. Can you just speak more about that and how you were able to convince all of these different parts to come together and use the same data ocean?
Yeah, great question. A little bit carrot, a little bit stick. Hopefully mostly carrot. Look, the data is the company's data, and you need to make that available to the applications that sit on top of that. I think we're able to prove with some of the early use cases that if we worked together, we could break down the silos of the company between care, operations, consumer, to build really great capabilities and use cases that spanned across those, and we needed to do that through an effective model. The most powerful way, though, is giving them the tools, the capability to do that themselves. I passionately believe if you need IT to build your data and analytics capability, then you've got a big problem, because you're going to be a bottleneck. You're never going to have the capacity that you need. You need to be able to give them low-code tools. We built a product using Vertex AI called AI Booster, which enables the business to build their own use cases. inside a safe framework. It fits within our AI framework. It aligns with our data fabric and the tools that we use. They can't break anything, but they can build use cases that sit across that. And that creates a flywheel effect where we can focus on getting the data in the system, managing the data effectively, working at scale, but the business can do what they need to do to build an experiment with the use cases that are going to make a difference to them.
Can you actually touch upon some of the use cases themselves that have made, that have brought about some of the biggest impact for you?
I'll start on the simplicity side. Maybe it's my operations background, but we've had some really great use cases in this area. My favorite's actually in networks. So networks were an early believer in the data ocean, that if we could build an ocean of network information, they could really simplify the way that they operate, primarily around OSS. So OSS are the tools that we use to monitor networks and all the configuration, et cetera. In a telco, that's a super complex environment. Each OSS tool has its own data model, its own tool set. You have to connect that tool to your probes in the network and gather network information. Super, super complex projects, lots of spaghetti, very, very expensive to run. We've been able to, since we went live, remove 120 OSS tools from our organization. We've moved to a model where the data ocean has the data. We use Dynamo to do the ingestion from the network and the elements. And then OSS just becomes a presentation layer that sits on top of that. You can use automation tools to build all the capabilities that you want to sit around that. That had a fundamental improvement in our operations, not just in cost, but actually in network performance, predictability. We're able to predict much more accurately when things are going to go wrong in the network, where the storms are going to have an impact, where the congestion is going to have an impact. We've been able to merge that with external data, Facebook analytics data, for instance, to use it to make smart network planning decisions around where should we build more capacity that's going to have an economic return that wouldn't have an economic return. That's possible because you build that core layer. Let me talk about the middle channel. So how do we service our customers better? Some really good examples here where we've been able to take data from the CPE, particularly in our fixed business. Fixed customers, when they lose their internet connection, they get really angry. Like really, really angry. But if they're a TV customer, you cannot believe how angry they get, particularly if they were watching their favorite sport. So being able to analyze what's happening in the network in the CPE and be able to do really simple things, realize that the fixed access is probably going to fail, so why don't we swap you over to our cellular backup on that device automatically so that the user experience is seamless. Those are all possible through the automation that you can build, and you drive an improvement in your customer experience. We use AI in our loyalty programs, as an example. Loyalty is you log into our app, we offer you a free coffee, a free sausage roll. It's a really dumb app, because how do we know you like sausage rolls? How do we know that you like coffee and you might flick past it? Using AI tools, we can start to use our CVM data, more information, leveraging the preferences information that you give us as a user to then build a much more intelligent loyalty program. Tailoring those, I really like Harmeen's segment of one concept where you're really tailoring that to a mass personalization that fits across that. And then I think it helps us sell better. I talked about product recommenders in those areas. Those drive efficiencies in the business that are super effective.
Just touching upon now Gen AI, I know that we were just talking about, like, you have started looking into that area also, and you have a bunch of developers working on it. Can you share more about some of the use cases that are resonating for you?
Look, there's certainly a lot of hype around Gen AI. I don't think I've had a meeting this year that someone hasn't talked about Gen AI. Even people who sell fiber connectors and networks are all talking about it. Look, I think there's real opportunities. A couple of steps to get right. First for us was to build a framework for responsible AI use. I think that's really, really important. We worked with Oxford University in the UK. We have a number of PhDs in AI, and we built a framework and a set of rules on traceability, explainability, and what we could use AI for with confidence today, and what we couldn't use AI for, Gen AI for, with confidence. Our current strategy is we see it as a really useful tool to help people do their jobs better. So give them the information that they need to take away the drudgery of their task. And I think that's important because you're always maintaining the human connection in the relationship with your customer. And therefore, some of the problems we have with Gen AI today, hallucinations, errors, the prompting capabilities that it has, you can manage that because you're still managing that in an effective way. A good example would be in our chatbots. We have about 13.5 million conversations on our chatbots across all of our markets. Anywhere between 65 and 80% fully automated through the chatbot with no human intervention. One of the problems we have as a business is working out why those customers called us. What was the intent? Now, when you call a contact center agent, the agent can tick a box to tell us what it is. When it's a digital channel, it's very hard to work out what the particular issues were, what the intents were. As Harmeen said, the long tail of intents is really expensive to develop. So we took all of those interactions in our market. We use Gen AI to summarize those, and then use that to inform us on where we need to make investments and decisions on how we can improve. Where do we need to train agents? Where do we need to work on particular functions and help to drive performance across the business? A very safe way to do that. We've anonymized the data before we give it to the LLM to do the summation, and we're not exposing that data directly to customers. I think I think customer care is a real area of focus. The second problem we had in the business was everyone wants to do Gen AI. I mean, everybody. No one's got any money for it, but they're all really excited about the opportunity. So we needed a model to say, how do we decide where do we want to test and run cases? We're currently running 60 projects across the business. We built a Gen AI governance board. It's not run by me, it's actually run by our commercial director, because we wanted to make sure that everything that we did with Gen AI had a commercial benefit, not a technology benefit. My job's to build the technology. Actually, it's my team's job to build the technology that make all that happen. And then we set a set of parameters that we wanted to be successful. I'm really excited about what it does for technology. We've got a very large base of software engineers. We see things like Copilot helping us really improve the performance of our software developers and the speed that they can develop at. We think helping customer care agents with more intelligent information, summarizing what's in our knowledge bases and all of those areas important. The other thing we've found, actually, our content's not that good. So you can ask an LLM to summarize it, and the answer you get is really crap. You think, well, the LLM's not very good. Actually, it's not. It's the content that you fed it that wasn't very good. So there's a real process to go through to get the business to clean up their content and make that happen. I think Gen AI will be probably as impactful as the PC and Excel on businesses, but I think you need to take careful, cautious steps to make sure you're delivering value. For sure, we're going to go through a hype cycle. For sure, people are going to make big mistakes. I'd like to try and contain our work to areas where if we do make a mistake or if the LLM is wrong, that we've got a governance model around that. When we're really, really confident, then we'll share our customer data, then we'll share it directly to customers to drive some of those use cases. We've got more than enough things to do where we're helping our employees be better before we need to talk directly to customers.
Thank you, Scott. I really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Look, it's great to see how customers, including BT Group, Vodafone Group, and many more partners and customers are really coming together to unlock the value of data, AI, and networks to drive new value for the customers and the organization. Thank you again, Harmeen and Scott, and thank you to all our customers, our partners, and to all of you.